Kobolds are an iconic D&D race that can also work decently fine as a player character race. Despite often being disregarded as low-level fodder enemies, the kobolds have a lot going for them. I highly recommend reading Races of the Dragon for D&D 3.5. This book has almost everything you might need to know about the kobolds. GURPS Fantasy Folk Kobolds came out not long ago, but it mostly deals with the mythological kobolds that do not have that much in common with the D&D race. So I would like to show you how I adapted the various kobold sub-races to GURPS. Here is my kobold template. Obviously, the kobolds are small and weak creatures. Standing no more than 3 feet tall, they have size modifier -2 and a racial strength -5. They are more agile than humans, so they get a +1 to dexterity, but their short legs don't make them good runners, so they have a -1 penalty to basic move. Despite being small, they have a relatively thick scaly hide that provides DR1 and gives the Scales perk. Their eyes are adapted to darkness, they have night vision 5 as a 0-point feature. This means that they can see normally at night, when the illumination typically provides a -5 penalty. But they are at -5 to see anything in bright daylight, as their eyes are sensitive to light. They also have infravision for navigating in the total darkness of their underground homes and peripheral vision, which is a very useful advantage. In my setting there are many above-ground populations of kobolds, and they do not have the night vision feature. Kobolds can eat almost anything, including bones and leather, if food is scarce. This is represented with reduced consumption 3 with cast iron stomach. Due to being cold-blooded creatures, they usually don't have to eat as often as humans do. Also, since kobolds are known to eat other sapient beings, I gave them the odious racial habit, eat sapient beings. Generally speaking, the civilized races consider them barbaric, hence the social stigma savage disadvantage. You can find this social stigma in GURPS Dungeon Fantasy 3, the next level. Races of the Dragon also says that the kobolds can open their mouth very wide enough to hold a melon. That's Born Biter 3 feature. Finally, the kobolds have more or less human lifespans, but they mature very quickly, so I gave them the Early Maturation 2 feature. This means that they reach adulthood at around 4 years. Races of the Dragon also introduced a feat called Dragon Rod that was beloved by min-maxers and led to some infamous rules abuse. By taking this feat, your kobold character would become a Dragon Rod kobold, a kobold whose draconic heritage manifests to a higher degree than normal. Your scales become tinted with a color that matches your draconic ancestor, your lifespan becomes longer, and you get some draconic immunities and senses. In GURPS terms, I decided to treat it by giving the template the longevity advantage, shifting the night vision 5 feature to a proper night vision 5 advantage, and also giving the template 2 iconic draconic immunities, immunity to paralysis and immunity to sleep. Some Dragon Rod kobolds also have functional wings, that's flight with cannot hover and winged. It is not included on the template. But that's not the only sub-race. Unearthed Arcana for D&D 3.5 also had a bunch of environmental kobold sub-races with some minor differences. The desert kobolds do not suffer from light sensitivity as they live mostly above ground, are more tolerant to heat, and require less water to survive. The Arctic kobolds surprisingly are not adapted to cold. They are still cold-blooded creatures, so they try to stay underground where it's warmer. Their eyes, however, are adapted to light. They are also stronger than normal kobolds, but are weaker of will. Jungle kobolds live above ground in the ancient ruined cities among the cloudy mountain tops. They are less smart than the normal kobolds, but are adept climbers, hence their good grip 1 advantage. Their eyes are adapted to light, and their lungs are adapted to the thin atmosphere. Aquatic kobolds tend to live under the seafloor. They can survive anywhere but the deepest trenches, but they cannot tolerate freshwater environments. The earth kobolds are attuned to the element of earth, They are stronger than normal and possess tremor sense. I used to build this ability with a vibration sense advantage, but GURPS powers enhanced senses had a much better and cheaper build, based on the subsonic hearing advantage. As a downside, the Earth Kobolds are susceptible to air spells that allow a resistance roll. That's all for D&D 3.5, but we had other editions, right? Back in the second edition of AD&D, there was a Greyhawk adventure module called Crypt of Lizard the Mad. It featured a new kobold subrace, the magically bred Crypt Kobolds. They are frailer than the normal kobolds, even more sensitive to light, but possess regenerative abilities. While they are intended for the Greyhawk setting, there is nothing stopping you from using them in any other setting. I am using them. The 18th issue of the Polyhedron magazine also had the Kobolds. Aside from being stronger and smarter than usual, these technologically advanced kobolds are resistant to poisons and mutations, and possess latent psionic potential. If you'd like to introduce some anachronistic technology to your fantasy setting in limited quantities, consider placing a colony of kobolds somewhere. Finally, there are the Urds. Basically, they're surface-dwelling winged kobolds, not much else to say. And that's it. I did not find any other kobold subraces. What else can I say? I love kobolds, but I feel that to make them threatening enemies in GURPS, you need to have some system mastery. While their small size does provide them with some combat advantages, the low strength is terrible. They really have to use their numbers, ranged weapons, traps, and smart tactics to be formidable, just like the Tucker's Kobolds meme. I feel that to get the most out of the kobolds in terms of lore, you have to combine their D&D 3.5 lore with their older editions. D&D 3.5 brings in many of the newer subraces, including the cool Dragonrod kobolds, but the older editions, aside from the lost subraces, had much more lore in regards to the kobold religion. You probably know the Kortulmak, the patron deity of kobolds, but have you heard anything about the Kuralyek, Gaknolak and Dakarnok? Yes, they are difficult to pronounce. This expansion of the kobold pantheon is a great addition, and I will link the expanded descriptions of these deities written up by another blogger in the video description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. By the way, I am using a new recording setup. Does it sound better?